Hi everybody! So, this thing, the kaleidoscope, is not something we give a lot of thought to, but when we do, we tend to think of it as a toy for children. But it's so much more than that. It brings together art and science and magic and wonder, and in its day, it also represented the society which spawned it. People had known about the bouncing reflections of mirrors, well, since the days of old. Giambattista della Porta had written about it in the 1500s in his book Magia Naturalis, or The Magic of Nature. Then in 1646, Athanasius Kircher had a neat idea about two mirrors held in a book-like form that you could open and close to different angles, which would reflect regular polygon figures. And Bradley's New Improvements in Planting and Gardening 1717 described a similar construction to be placed in gardens that would show multiple reflections. But the true magic of the kaleidoscope didn't arrive until 1815. In 1814, enter Sir David Brewster, a chap curious about light doing its thing between glass plates. He noticed that a circular arrangement of images of a candle around a centre was formed when you held glass plates in a certain way. But it was in February 1815 that his light bulb moment occurred, when he stood there and went, "Whoa, that's really something!" And that moment sparked a frenzy of experiments that led eventually to the kaleidoscope. Brewster tinkered away to find, as he put it, the most perfect arrangement of symmetry and beauty. And the patterns created were described by Brewster as almost too beautiful for words. So Brewster thought, well, like any good 19th century Victorian gentleman would think, hey, let's get a patent. But the kaleidoscope took off. Well, faster than anybody could say reflections, and unauthorised copies were on the streets of Paris and London before the official versions were even ready. About 200,000 of them flew off the shelves in a blink, although only a small fraction of them were actually working. They were the Tamagotchi or Rubik's Cube of the 1800s. The kaleidoscope mechanism is actually elegantly simple. They're just mirrors in a tube arranged upon themselves in a 60-degree angle with a translucent piece of glass at the bottom. But it creates intricate and ever-changing patterns with each twist and turn. Brewster's kaleidoscope quickly became the talk of town, and it captured the imaginations of the public as well as the acclaim of the scientific community, because, well, it was a piece of accessible magic. But beyond its entertainment value, the kaleidoscope carried a deeper significance. The view seen through a kaleidoscope was not just a spectacle, it represented the fusion of art and science, showcasing the mesmeric beauty inherent in mathematics and optics. During an era enamoured with exploration and discovery, the kaleidoscope became a symbol of ingenuity and innovation. It inspired artists, mesmerised scientists, and captured the hearts of dreamers. Its popularity soared, and it became the must-have fashionable accessory. When you think about it, the kaleidoscope with its mirrors and pieces orchestrates a dance of symmetry, and its allure lies in the mesmerising patterns formed through the reflection of light in the mirrored chamber. Fractals, on the other hand, are geometric figures that are characterised by self-symmetry, a property where a part of the structure resembles the whole, no matter how much it's magnified. This idea of self-symmetry and recursive patterns acts as a link between kaleidoscopes and fractals, and both exhibit this self-symmetry where fragments resemble the whole, albeit through a different mechanism. The kaleidoscope's ever-changing patterns, though not mathematically generated, mimic the recursive patterns of fractals, and this becomes a little more obvious when looking at two sets of images formed by the two different techniques. Brewster joined forces with Philip Carpenter, a manufacturer, to produce the kaleidoscope, but the demand was sky high and the company just couldn't keep up with it. So in 1818, Brewster and Carpenter licensed the manufacturing, and in 1819, Brewster produced his treatise on the kaleidoscope detailing the inner workings. Carpenter's company kept on selling kaleidoscopes for a further 60 years. We think of the kaleidoscope as being a simple child's toy, but it was far from it. A quick look at the patent and Brewster's treatise shows a huge number of variations, including a telescopic kaleidoscope, a microscopic kaleidoscope, a reflective kaleidoscope, a projecting kaleidoscope. And that creation of variations continues today with wand kaleidoscopes, wheel or carousel kaleidoscopes, sculptural works and large kaleidoscopes being integrated into the architecture of some buildings. I'm going to do a breadboard project. I love these breadboard projects. The idea is to build what you can build from a breadboard or two. So I got myself a couple of breadboards, one dark, one light, and some acrylic mirror and some marbles. And what we're going to do is make a kaleidoscope. I love them, and it's a great project for breadboards. Now it's a bit thin, so first things first, we're going to chop that in half, glue the two together to make a thick piece of dark wood. Once that's had time to dry, what I've done is cut two pieces off with a 60-degree angle here. When I put them together, that gives me a nice hexagonal. So I'm going to glue those together and I'll get a solid hexagonal block of wood. Once you've bored it out, that's what you get. Now the hexagonal's quite nice, but I have a lathe, so I turn mine into a tube. But I don't think you need to. I think if you sanded the hexagonal, then you'd be fine. It'd look really quite pretty. But I've got this tube, and I have to say, I think it's awesome when you consider it's made for a breadboard. Now we need to do the actual kaleidoscope itself. And I got these. They're acrylic mirror tiles. You can do it with normal glass if you want, but that's a bit more difficult to cut, obviously. Acrylic mirror tiles are cut with a box knife, and what you do is cut 3 strips. Now this is a 30cm hole, so these strips are 2.4mm apart, and I just did that by measuring across the line. That's all I actually did. And what we need to do is put them on some tape. So we do the tape, stick side up, little gap so they can fold over each other neatly. A little bit of tape top and bottom, and then you fold that into an equilateral triangle and tape that triangle down. That goes in that tube there, and that makes the heart of your kaleidoscope. Now of course we've gone to quite a lot of trouble, so what would be nice is a pretty little eyepiece and a pretty little holder. So we're going to make the eyepiece and holder out of the rest of the breadboard, and it's really just circles cut. So let me do that and show you the whole. So the eyepiece is just 4 wooden discs. I cut 4 discs of different colours from the 2 different boards, glued them together and drilled them out with the hole. That was a bit delicate because that's 22mm in a 32mm hole. And that's the actual eyepiece, and I've drilled a 12mm hole in that, and that glues on there to make me my actual eyepiece. I've inserted the triangle there, and then that glues on there, and that's what we look through. It's actually looking really cool. Okay, so I need to glue those together. Now the bottom piece is yet another disc I've cut from the cutting board, and that will form the bottom piece. Here it is with the eyepiece glued on. And I've put this bottom piece on. You'll notice the bottom piece has the same hole size as the centre of the tube, so nothing gets blocked. Now the bottom piece, to finish it, has 3 discs stacked up which go there, like that. So now what we need to do obviously is drill a hole through here. Now we're going to drop a 25mm marble in there, and of course we don't want it to rattle about, so the hole we're going to drill is 22mm, and then we need another hole there. It's slightly bigger than 25 so the marble will drop in, but going through to 22 so the marble won't drop out. So let's drill that out. That's it, we've got a hole drilled through there. That's our larger hole, that's our smaller hole, so that becomes the top. Glue it on there. When that glue's dried, we're ready to drop in our marble. And that's it all together. So now all we've got to do is pick one of our marbles out. That's pretty. And it drops into there. There we go, like that. Now we look down it, and you can twiddle the marble, and you'll get a kaleidoscopic effect. That's actually quite lovely. That's awesome. Gonna try and give you a view of that. Okay, I hope you got how beautiful that was, but it's really quite nice to look through there. So there we go. How to make a kaleidoscope from a couple of breadboards. And that's another one of my breadboard projects I'm going to put there and save this for next Christmas. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and please remember, like and subscribe.